You ask me, where's the money? Where's the money? I mean, I don't know where the money is. I've never been good with figures, you know that. I don't know anything about math. It was never my good subject.
Well, hello, everybody. This is that great show. It's called Where's the Money?
Where's the money?
Where's the money? Where's the money? We should never do that. Should never do that. We're going to come up with an introduction. It's terrible.
We do need an introduction. We're sticking with the name, though.
And we're sticking with the name and Belushi in the front because I haven't had time to do anything differently. We've been on the road, and but we're going to get this episode in this week. I can't believe it, Doug. And it's timely, of all things, if you can believe it. Timely. I'm just going to remind everybody what this is. This is the show. Doug and I will take a product and decide amongst ourselves. We'll throw away all the other experts and all the other fields and everybody else's comments about this, and we're going to decide amongst ourselves whether or not this application has the chops to make some money. Hence the title, Where's the Money? Get it? Oh, it's like it's coming together.
I feel it. Well, I think it really shows that it's coming together because we had chosen in this app last week, and we're actually looking to shoot this earlier in the week, but because of conflicts we couldn't, and then the news blew up. Path blew up on the internet yesterday. So
that is our app this week. It is an app called Path. Now, a little bit of background about Path. It is a kind of the anti-social social network. It is a native application on the iPhone that allows you to basically track your whereabouts. Wherever you are, you can sign in, you take photos, nice filters, you can do all these things, you can comment on other people's, but it has a limited number of people that you actually are allowed to follow and can follow you, up to 100, I think it is. And this is the brainchild of Dave Morin, who is one of the early, either a near founder or a co-founder of Facebook. He's also one of the creators or co-creators of Facebook Connect, and he left in January of 2011 to form this company, or thereabouts, to form this company called Path, and it was relaunched in November of 2011, and it relaunched, and then within weeks, it had 1.5 million downloads, and they're well over 2 million downloads now. That's a little background. That's the application. Doug and I, if you haven't noticed, have been playing around with it for quite a bit. I registered when the first version came out, but immediately deleted it. Didn't find it needed or necessary at the time. And
well, at the time, wasn't it more of a photo-based app?
It was a photo sharing app, right? So that you can everybody contributes to an event, or you basically say, like, I'm going on a trip, and you take a bunch of photos, and it compresses all those photos, or it keeps them all into basically one stream, and it's a path of photos. And this is very much like a check-in application, but it does a lot of things automatically, and it includes photos, but it also includes location, comments, you name it, it's in there.
Yeah, it's basically the app that I think Facebook would have made if they knew what Facebook was going to be right from the start and designed it to be mobile first. It's got that that second level social network pedigree.
Yeah.
Just from using it, I was really impressed with the way that they're able to kind of integrate all the things that you can do with whether it's checking into locations or sharing photos or status updates from your friends. All of that is kind of holistically integrated on the main screen in a way that isn't confusing the way that either Facebook on the desktop has become or their terrible mobile apps are.
Well, I got to tell you, so before we even get into whether this can make money or not, this is a beautiful app.
Yes.
Like, it is you know what? It is a joy to use. It is smooth, like everything about it. The UI, everything about this app is stunning. I don't know about you, but like this interface for Path is, I can't get enough of it. I want to stare at this application. That's how beautiful this is.
It's just, I think it's not even like the smoothness or like there's a lot of things there. I think it's just really the subtlety in the way that certain features and icons really overlay, and the information is really presented as a whole. Yeah. Whereas, and like once again, you've seen Facebook add feature and functionality over the past few years, where they've kind of stuck things into what the original model was and had to try and deal with that and rearrange it. And this is really, Path was what Timeline became, in a certain way.
Well, I mean, I got hooked in the short time that I was using it on my recent trip, and I I mean, I love it. Now, they've had some issues over the last couple of days. The timing of this couldn't have been better, obviously, or couldn't have been worse for them. But can this app make some money?
Well, so there's quite a few issues with this. So the first one being their positioning in the space. If they're trying to be a very kind of closed or hyper-personal social network, kind of the evolved form of Facebook or the anti-Facebook, the first thing that you want to do is not have the same privacy issues that Facebook has been having for 2 years. By that I mean, don't take my personal contact list information without asking me or telling me. So that's strike one. People are really sensitive to this nowadays, and I think they have issues when Facebook does it. But I think, as we said last time on the last show, they've kind of already bought into Facebook because all their friends and family are there. With Path, it's very new. There are less than 2 million users, and because it's so hyper-focused on that, what was originally 50 users, and now I think the max is 150 people, they don't have that growth. You said you got addicted to the app, but I certainly have very few people that I'm sharing with on Path, and some of my closest friends and family that I'd want to share things with on Path don't have the app, don't use the app, maybe because they don't have an iPhone, they don't have the app, so it makes it difficult. So
the difference, though, Doug, is that I'm an old guy, and I use it to remember where I was. I don't really care about sharing my experience with somebody. What I'm very interested in is documenting what I'm doing. And I think that is pretty neat. The aspect of it is, like, I landed today back in Ottawa, and it's I launched the app, and it says, hey, it landed back in Ottawa. Automatically added that to my timeline. And that is very interesting to me, and I can understand how you'd want to contain that to a small group of people. I really like that idea. I do. My closest friends. So I actually, to that point, I actually got the notification on my iPhone when that had happened. So I saw that, and I definitely see the benefit. I wouldn't want that to happen for 90% of my Facebook friends, but obviously that other 10%, it would be useful information to have, and in a way that Foursquare kind of does the same thing if the Foursquare user proactively checks in. Yep. But I have to go into Foursquare to know that, rather than having it be kind of a notification. So it's a very valid point. I don't know. I fell in love with it. They put some thought. What I love about mobile first companies, when they get it, they get it. They put some thought into this from the ground up. They reimagined this entire application, and they imagined it not from any preconceived notion of what it was like on a web page or a desktop. What they did is they built it to suit the experience on the mobile device. And if you haven't used it, it's beautiful. I mean, it's a great UI, UX, beautiful app, subtle, everything's subtle about it. But it comes down to it. I mean, so they had a gaffe, right? A big gaffe. They shared all this context. They knew about it, which was the biggest gaffe, because immediately this happened. When did this break? Yesterday? On Wednesday?
Yeah, late last night.
Or late Tuesday night. By today, which is Thursday, or today, which is Wednesday, sorry. So it was late Monday night. By Wednesday, they had a patch updated, and they've already updated the Android application. So they knew about it, and they didn't tell anybody about it. And I think that's their biggest failing.
Yeah, because that would any sort of proactive statement there would have, and even the fact the Apple the iPhone version that they had, which contained basically an opt-in option for users to say, hey, we're going to take your contact information, so that when you have friends join Path, we can notify you, which is very smart. And as long as I know that they're doing that, it's something that I can decide whether to allow or disallow. Yeah. That was already into Apple for submission and review, but it didn't get through in time before
this was exposed.
The story broke. So all that cachet just immediately goes right out the window. Yeah. And you start to wonder, because this isn't, people have enough issues with large, very secure companies like Facebook and Google having so much of our personal information there, and then the conceit is that they're providing a free service, we want to be there, and they're using our personal information as a revenue stream. Path is a very small, very new company that might not be around in 2 years. So for them to just rip, my 2,000 to 3,000 contacts that I have synced to my iPhone, even if they're using it for the benefit of the user, I don't necessarily trust them to keep that information secure, let alone use it in a way that's to my benefit and not theirs. especially since they weren't telling me that they were doing it. So
totally agree. I totally agree. But I'm going to err on the side of Dave and his team, that this was an oversight. This was what we call like a minimum viable product flub up, right? They didn't consider it. They thought they were doing a favor for us as a user, and the outcome is that they weren't considerate of our privacy. But I don't think that this was on purpose. But this might it might have an impact on the company. But the bottom line is that, can a microsite, a niche play, 150 friends, this kind of product make money? Will it actually generate revenue? I'm challenged on this.
Well, so if you look at what kind of Facebook did, where what they're selling is their broad user base and the data they have, and you see Path as kind of that evolved form of Facebook and Foursquare and all these other kind of information broadcasting or collecting applications to, as you said, create that story, create that super beautiful timeline. It seems to me very difficult to find a way, if your business is selling data, which is what I assume that they would do, because that's what all the kind of social 2.0...
Selling anonymized data.
Yes. Is 150 users enough? Is that simply a strategy to get your closest friend and family sharing? And then they'll increasingly, like in 3 or 4 years, will there be no difference between the Path user base and the Facebook user base? I don't think that's tenable. I don't think they can scale that way, and I don't think they're trying to. So it seems really difficult for me how they could find some sort of revenue stream to get that information to be valuable, or find some other sort of alternative, unless it's something around like location information. Yeah. Or I'm not really sure what they could sell to advertisers or anything like that.
Well, think about their user base. If they've got 2 million users, and gradually we're adding to our timeline, and we're the way that we're interacting, the way that we travel, the restaurants that we go to, the automatic check-in piece to this, right, where it tells you where you land, and then it starts to give you information. You start to see that circle expanding. I like the idea, but this is like radar for Foursquare, where you're bringing the information to me. So I'm walking down the street, or it knows where I am. I launch the application, and it tells me what 9 friends, close friends that I've decided to share this information with Path. They've been at this restaurant. They all love that restaurant. And then they'll throw in a coupon, or they'll throw in a something like that. They can turn all of this data into revenue by inference. Like they infer what I might like based on my history, my path, and my friend's path, and my friend's history, and how this collides. So, data is gold here, and I think that's what this is about. It's an intimate look into how I live my life, and where I am, and what I do, and they can make money off of that, I think.
So okay, so then you're saying that they're not necessarily a social app; they're a very personal app that allows you to share that personal information with a small closed circuit. I can buy that, and then that would make a lot more sense than in terms of, because I don't think that the 150 cap is just a growth strategy. No. Similar to how Facebook launched in universities first and kind of owned those small networks and then grew out. It makes sense, but the problem with that is that beyond the holistic beauty and the ease of use of Path as an application, that information that you're talking about is already collected by a bunch of different mobile apps that I use already, that I'm invested in, that do the job a lot better, or not necessarily better, but they do it to a finer degree of detail, so that I maximize my value. So that, am I going to use Path, or am I going to use Instagram and Foursquare and maybe Twitter or something like that? Like, can they combine these 4 or 5 different core mobile use cases in a way that is beneficial enough for me that I don't need to use the other apps? Or because I find it interesting that they do have they do allow you to sync with Twitter and other applications, and I think they work with Foursquare as well. But
Foursquare, Twitter, Facebook, And I mean, they don't have an Instagram Connect, but when you start to think about the overflow of I don't know, it was like user hoarding, right? Facebook, you friended everybody. LinkedIn, you friended everybody. Twitter, you know, it's amassing followers and this steady stream of conversation. Sometimes it's great to be able to pull back and say, even Instagram is great for photo sharing and checking into a location. And I think that there's a battle here, but it's really nice to be able to pull back and say, listen, I'm going to select my friends. And 150, maybe they got it. That's Dunbar's number, which is really the human capacity, the top number that a human has to actually have a relationship with somebody that they know more than just their name about, right? So
yeah, meaningful relationship. Yeah.
So you know what? I don't know if they. I would hope that they don't go past 150, but I hope that 2 million people and then rising is an incredible number of people using this application. 2 million people, and the Earth is a big planet, right? And I think that they can make money off of this. I do believe that these guys, done right, with enough patience, can make money. 2 ways. One of them through the assimilation of this data, right? So
yeah.
Inference and advertising and all that kind of stuff. 2, somebody buys them, like Facebook.
Yeah, or yeah, a lot of different companies could buy them, and I think they've already had some offers that they've turned down and things like that. But so then, okay, if it's really just collecting the individual user's personal information and finding some way to monetize that, then growth is still an issue, but in a different way, simply because I went to Instagram because I knew that was kind of the best photo taking filter, like it was the best interesting photo making application.
Yep. And
then the ability for me to share those photos with friends is like a secondary thing. But it was an added benefit. With Foursquare, it was because I wanted that social dynamic. I had friends using it, and I wanted to broadcast that information out to broader social networks. So there were individual reasons why I wanted to use those applications, and I got stuck in them. With Path, if they're going to be a jack of all trades, master of none, is the overall experience enough to add people to it? Because you're not going to have, with that user cap, a situation where your friends are like, oh, you really need to get on Path because I want to share things with you. Yeah. It's more like you really need to get on Path because it's the best for doing this one thing. And maybe it's that timeline tracking, because they talk a lot about your personal story, right? Yeah. Maybe it's that, and to be honest, I really kind of want some of those features with Foursquare, and in looking back where I'm at, but it's not enough to get me committed to the point where I stop using those other apps.
Doug, I got to think back maybe 8 years, Chronicle Road, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. What was the tagline on that company? Build your own legend. Create your own legend. Same thing. 8 years too soon. It was a company that we had started a long time ago, and I'm with you. I don't know that
everyone watching this podcast right now is, what the hell are they talking about? If someone can Google Chronicle Road and find any legacy of it on the internet, email us, send it to us, send it to our Twitter. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I get. You know what? That's a really good point. Is that it's that chronicling your story, and there's having that personal data.
It's ego, man.
It's not necessarily ego, it's perspective.
Sure. Collecting
all these pieces of these micro bits and tying them, weaving them together into a broader story allows you perspective. The problem with that is that, we were talking about Chronicle Road, or, us trying these certain apps 8 years ago, God, is that there's more than one game in town.
Yeah.
So what do I want my chronicling application to be, especially even if you look at what people are doing with all the biometric stuff and people tweeting their weight and their diet and things like that, or how far they've run each day. Is Path going to be able to compete with all these different specialized applications in a way that keeps us there, or would users prefer to have 9 apps that do one thing very, very well? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I think that they have to either. That's what I say. They're either going to grow this into something, make an income out of this, or they're going to get bought. So final thoughts, Doug. Can this company make money? Is there an opportunity for Path to actually generate an income, generate some revenue?
I think they have a much better chance of generating revenue eventually down the road if they do become that kind of jack of all trades application, rather than being a really, really small Facebook. Because I don't think advertising revenue is the way that they're going to do it in the Facebook model. But to look at that as to how successful they're going to be or could be, I'll put it to you: what if Google Plus, or what Google Plus became, was just Path? What if Google had come out with Path and Connect, and every one of those little boxes were the Google services that you're already tied into?
Yep.
We'd all be using Google Plus right
100%.
now. So,
so is Google going to buy these guys?
I don't think it's going to happen. But I think the better question is, can Path get to be where those individual services are? Because they're already good at tying it together. But can they get enough there for us to switch over?
You know what? I'm sold on it. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to see what this does. And I'm going to see if I actually maintain my connection to Path the same way that I maintain my connection to Instagram and to Foursquare and to Twitter, right? Because Google Plus is a passing phase for me right now. It's just not. It's not as engaging. I fell in love with the interface.
Yeah, but interfaces we've seen time and time again can be copied.
Yep.
There's no reason that Google Plus in version 2.0 could be a complete Path ripoff. And then what does Path have to offer?
Nothing.
Because I have a Gmail address,
yep.
I have a YouTube account, Google Docs. Google already has the important bits of all my data,
yep.
or at least most of it.
And they're slowly getting the interface.
Yes. Or they're slowly trying to learn social or rig SEO results or things like that.
They're trying to do something. They're trying to leverage all our content. Well, I for one, I'm gonna give this a thumbs up for the ability for this thing to generate revenue in a short term. I don't think that they're going to turn revenue on yet. I think they got some patient money. I think that Dave is, well, he's got a bank account. He's an angel investor. He's a co-founder of Facebook. He's got some money to play with to make this his pet project, and that's either very good or very bad for this company. Who knows where this goes? So, final thoughts, Doug?
Yeah, I guess we'll just see how the story goes.
We'll follow up with this. That's this episode, number 2 of Where's the Money. What do you think? Do you think Path has a chance? Do you think Path can actually generate revenue? We don't want to get into the discussion about privacy issues or any of that kind of stuff, but do you think that if they iron everything out, if they do things right, can this company generate an income? Can they generate revenue? And can they be a sustainable company? Or is this just a passing phase and they'll be swallowed up or disappear like a lot of these companies that we don't talk about anymore? What do you think?
And bonus question, what type of app do you want Path to be and why?
Nice.
What do you want it to replace on your iPhone home screen?
Nice. My name's Rob Woodbridge. I'm from Untether.tv. I'm with Doug Soltis. We really appreciate you watching this. We'll see you next time on Where's the Money?
Where's the money?
Where's the money? We should never do that again. Got to come up with an ending too. Brutal.